Hmm. Do. Toodalito. Oh, well, hey. Hey there, hold on a second. More in frame. Okay. You know what? Even better. Okay. This is more of a test stream, if anything. Whoa. That's the test stream is I replaced the battery backup over there. My computer's really worrying because this is one of those VR chat areas where it's way more system intensive. I noticed that the battery backup I have for my computer would start screeching because, like, oh no, you drank too much power. It would do this. So I replaced it, and ideally with one that will not make noise. It actually has a mute button on it, as every battery backup should. Um, the one I had that was making all the noise, it was like one of those cheap $40 ones. Amazon Essentials, yeah, whatever. Um, I just want to do a little stream, basically a test stream, to see if I could test in this area that's designated as not safe for Quest in VR chat because basically it's too system intensive. Um, it's marked as PC only. I have a PC. I like PCs. Um, so I'll know if my computer doesn't just overheat and shut itself off that I can actually do streams from nice areas like this. Like, hey, do you guys like Firelink Shrine? Mirror. Oh, that if I activate this, it says mirror and can turn on a mirror. I'm not going to turn on a mirror though. No need for that. I was just going to show some happy, fun, goofy things. For instance, yeah, here we go. Wait a second. There we go. So, first off, hello, Rob Kuro, already here. First thing, literally three. Again, available, funding, getting money. Already met the goal. Still needs help though with because the money's going towards the artist, so it's got to pay for all the pages. Um, but just right off the bat, couple things. A couple short, again, short stream, test stream. I just wanted to point out here. Oh, look, here is a tweet. Do you guys like tweets? How's this look on the thing? It looks fine. Okay. Um, me saying me on Twitter saying there's a very good reason comicsgate always hated us, but Doug always liked us. You can find out why right here. And so we'll just go to the next tab, which is the tweet. Doug TenNapel saying, I don't think EVS, Ethan Van Sciver, and the comics gay brand knew when I walked into the door, or walked in the door. He didn't walk into a door. That I already been canceled 6 ways to Sunday. I had seen SJWs knew their vocabulary and culture, and when I saw it all over comicsgate doing literally the same thing as the left, and for the same reasons, I had to move on from the fake outrage grift fandom, which is, again, going back to what I was just saying, the reason why Doug has liked us is because he noticed and was made aware from a few other people who had been essentially kicked out of Comicsgate for noticing the same thing Doug did, as he mentioned there, the same thing we mentioned. We had a few people who were, kicked out of Comicsgate for that reason, eventually found us talking about, making videos, being pretty much the only people doing videos talking about this exact thing, is that it was the SJW behavior that we had been against before anyone in Comicsgate. Most of the people in Comicsgate are just tourists who pretended to, basically pretended to be us years after we had already proven our bona fides and proven that we were the real thing. Comicsgate is the fake thing that is trying to imitate us. And Doug TenNapel, I do know, is, he's like that as well, where he is like us, and that Comicsgate is essentially been trying to imitate what he just naturally is, what we naturally are, and so on. So, so because of that, Doug was ultimately a to just put it simply, a fan of ours. Enjoyer, I think, is a more accurate and better term. Fan, of course, if you know the truth about the concept and the term fan, you know that it's actually not at all a nice thing to call anyone. And especially if you've been watching our videos and following our channel for long enough, you know specifically proven once and for all. The funny thing is, he said this in a quote tweet to Daka Daka, who's also follows me on Twitter, pointing out, well, here, this, I can bring this up. EVS Malding that everyone he's tried to cancel is doing way, way better than he is. In reply to just Doug saying, first documentary crew to capture my story, joining Canon Plus is how you fund this, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. Again, you could check that out. Oh, and here's a Rob Kuro tweet as well. What about that? But also, I did reply to Doug's tweet and quote tweeted, but I mentioned comicsgate constantly engaging in the same behavior that their supposed enemies were. Whose side were they really on all along? Now, don't answer that. It's one of those, what do you call it, rhetorical questions. Of course, classic screen cap of Ethan basically show this right here. And it's important to notice also, this is from 2019. So this is how long everyone else should have known what was really going on. If you didn't know after this point, you've basically been successfully psyoped by what's referred to as controlled opposition. A psyop is also a good way to put it on its own. But yeah, I just think it's funny that the information's been out there. Everyone should have known. And the reason why most people don't is because your favorite YouTubers worked for years to cover this up, to hide this truth from you, because they don't want you to know, ultimately. They don't want you to know what we're talking about on our channel. They don't even want you to know what really happened to Doug TenNapel. But this is the reason right here why Doug TenNapel agrees with us about comicsgate. It's because he saw it the same way. In fact, he admitted that we had pointed out first, because he was, after all, on almost. If you watch the streams, we've had Doug TenNapel on a few times. In fact, we'll get to that in a minute. One thing, I'll just play a few clips. Here's one of Doug on with Ethan Van Sciver lying, basically catching himself lying as he would constantly do. Let's see, what does this look like on the screen? No, it looks fine. Looks great. And hello, also good morning. This is a couple minutes long. I'll play at least some of this. It's basically an argument where where Ethan Van Sciver was lying about Doug and doing the SJW cancel culture. And here's Gay Ricada, Dick Licata, taking Ethan's side, as you'll be able to hear, essentially bribed, sort of bought off. Not even monetarily specifically, but again, that's an old topic. We've covered that in a bunch of videos. That nobody else. That's stuff that we knew privately and did talk about several times. And again, that's basically old news. If anyone really wants to know more, our videos are still, most of our videos are still around. The videos on our Subscribe Star are still around. And we're still around. I mean, that's the thing we've always said. Hey, if anyone ever wants to ask, if anyone wants to know, they can just ask. Nobody asks because they don't want to know. But here again, let's just play this.
Well, clip. Doug, you're wrong when you block me for that tweet, because that tweet was a very pointed
this one
criticism of what you were doing and what you were saying.
Again, when he says pointed criticism, Ethan is completely leaving out the part where he just accuses Doug of being a Earthworm Jim antigay. This is exactly the kind of SJW behavior that we wanted to get away from before comicsgate existed. So again, as proving that, when what I said earlier, when comicsgate wanted to imitate us without, they're the diet watered down imitation of our original infused with real cocaine original formula. that they, comicsgate couldn't handle. Comicsgate also really doesn't have the quality to meet our standards. The same way they don't have the quality to meet, say, Doug TenNapel standards or Iconic Comics standards, that kind of thing. If anyone in Comicsgate was like, oh, could I put out my comic through the King Wolf Comics imprint? No, I would have to tell them no, because their comics aren't good enough. Ethan Van Sciver's comics aren't good enough. I don't care about the art either. And people are like, oh, the art's good. That doesn't matter to me. His comics, the actual comics, are not good. They're bad. They're objectively, but you can actually measure how bad they are. You can quantify it. Even, in fact, you could say Ethan in that case.
This was quantifiably bitchy.
That's a good description of him. Who would have thought? Hey, fucking spam bot in the Twitch chat. Great. More chat. And that's the thing. We police our chat so little that I don't even care about spam bots. Hello, spam bots. But speaking of, again, when you have actual merit and actual standards, it's always going to count less ultimately than people who are just appealing to shallow political posture, like selling you promises, essentially. When you have an actual comic to sell, when people are only going to buy the comic, people usually tune out. The Comicsgate people, and that proves Comicsgate people don't actually like comics. They just like the empty promises, the empty hype. When it comes to just the comics and just quality of the comics and storytelling, they really don't care, which is fine with me because that means the people who support us are the real supporters of comics. The fake supporters of comics in Comicsgate, they can have them flush their money down the toilet, fine with that, which they certainly do. They do that quite a lot. But here, again, more of this.
So when you say you're calling me anti-gay, that's not what I'm doing.
You said, is Earthworm Jim gay? I didn't say gay.
Amen.
I said I don't understand.
I mean, is Earthworm Jim anti-gay? You said, is Earthworm Jim anti-gay?
Notice that again right here. If you look at the screen, Ricada is kind of baffled because he thought he supported. He thought he was against the woke SJW left, and now he's having somebody on who he's friends with who is the woke anti-SJW or the woke SJW left, who is pretending to be anti-SJW just for attention, for YouTube clout, which, of course, as we've pointed out many times over the years, in fact, works to sucker in the under people, if you will, if you would like to call them that. It's certainly an apt term. But Ricada here, you can see by his face, he is confused. He doesn't understand because he doesn't actually have any real principles or beliefs. I mean, again, this is, after all, the based, trad, wholesome family man who's going to sex dungeons and sex clubs and hedonism too, and so on. And then getting caught, and only after people are like, wait, why are you doing that? Only then does he say, oh, no, that didn't happen, after he already admitted that it happened. So he's also a pathological liar, which is why he's friends with EVS. But Doug TenNapel is just pointing out regular facts, and Ricada doesn't have any clue what side to take. He doesn't take Doug's side, though. He basically takes Ethan's side and gets really whiny here. And this is an old clip, too. So when people are like, oh, Ricada, what happened to him? He was always like this. Here again,
saying anti-gay things.
Just him sitting here.
I'm not Earthworm Jim, buddy. I'm Doug TenNapel. Is Doug TenNapel gay? Is Doug TenNapel anti-gay? Not is Earthworm Jim. You tied it to the character. I'm saying whether if you did it intentionally or not,
Doug,
I can't. Ethan, I can't be friends.
Notice Ethan can't even stand the fact that Doug TenNapel is allowed to respond to him. This is something that we noticed a while ago. Is that Doug TenNapel cannot stand being actually confronted, or not Doug TenNapel, fucking Ethan Van Sciver cannot stand being confronted. I'm reading this also, these screen caps of Ethan's fans being absolutely convinced that Doug TenNapel is gonna, like, I know Doug and this will make him lose it. It didn't make him lose it. Nothing happened. Quartering didn't really do anything. Not that quartering could do anything about it, but again, it's like we've been saying, it's about selling people promises over actually delivering the works.
Friends with a guy who's that sloppy to not know better what sloppy. The tactics are.
That's another funny thing. If you know the word sloppy, the way that Ethan actually has lost it, he has had screaming meltdowns just over the word sloppy, interestingly enough. I wish I had queued that up. I kind of forgot. But again, you can find that clip very easily if you're in the know with people who are honest. If you don't, if you're with, if you follow the people who are dishonest, of course, you are.
So you're either
Doug,
doing it on purpose or you're stupid. And I think I'll forgive you because I think you're stupid.
No, come on.
You are.
Yeah, notice even the wimpy, no, come on, just the low T voice that Ricada has, just utterly bitch made as a human being.
Nick, if he's that dumb, he
doesn't know the
lay of the land.
What is the lay of the land? What am I supposed to gauge your disingenuousness from moment to moment?
Well, I'm only saying, Ethan,
It's funny, he mentions disingenuousness, but he doesn't say what or how, because Ethan has always been selling this idea that Doug is somehow sold out or ripped off comicsgate, but he's never actually explained and shown how and proven it. He's just said it and expects people to believe it. And if you don't believe it, then Ethan gets really pissed off.
I take you at your word?
Yeah. Is Earthworm Jim anti-gay?
Is comicsgate anti-gay? You knew the answer to that. And so you got out of it and into another situation where you weren't allowed to express your views.
Again, listen to how whiny Ethan sounds just saying that is, he's losing. Ethan is clearly losing it just right here. He can't even hold it together. That really makes the point here. Here's another clip that
right now
does the same thing.
We've got okay. This is
Look at how old Ethan looks in this too. And this is from a couple of years ago.
Dirtworm Doug decided to launch his own spite campaign against comicsgate on Kickstarter. Fuck this piece of garbage. 17th.
Now again, launching a spite campaign against comicsgate. If you look at the campaign, where's the part where it's supposed to be a spite campaign? The part where it's supposed to be a spite campaign, of course, as everyone knows, is the part where Ethan says it is. Aside from that, there's no evidence of any of that. Basically, according to Ethan Van Sciver, as he's admitting right here, you can't make a campaign outside of comicsgate without it being somehow a spite campaign. That's clearly something that Ethan invented too, is that somebody else made a campaign, therefore it's just to spite me. That's what Ethan means when he says to spite comicsgate. He means to spite him personally. Somehow, which again, it's like, how exactly? Explain your reasoning, show evidence of it. Ethan has never been able to do that. That's why, again, Ethan has lost every single argument against us, because we actually show the evidence of what we say and back up, what we say. Whereas Ethan never can and never has been able to. The same actually for Ricada and so on. A lot of other people, pretty much anyone in comicsgate has essentially conceded defeat in every argument. But this right here just goes further to show the point. It's funny though that Doug, yeah, again, quite fond of our channel. In fact, here's Doug on with a stream on this channel. It says this was 2 years ago. I think it's a little over 2 years ago, but
that, a lot of that can connect to Glenn Ross. I think we'll eventually talk about that movie.
This is a good clip.
Which is
other stuff.
Tim, where are you at on Glenn Ross?
I had to watch it in college and I fell asleep, so I don't really
had to watch it.
Tim. You just got put on our list.
That's what when we saw.
Oh no, fucking! I can't believe Tim Lim is a backstabber. Tim Lim going around backstabbing us. Also, our good friend Doug TenNapel, and even our good friend Tim Lim, he backstabbed himself. I can't believe Tim Lim would do something like that, but he did clearly. But here, let's just play a
like
little
in the 90s. we rented it at the place, and we're like, "Oh, this movie's great." And we tried to tell our friend about it, and he's like, "It looks gay or
It's
something."
boring. Nothing
So I had
even
to.
explodes.
We had to watch 3 movies in a
Nothing
row. It
explodes.
was kind of a strange situation. It was because of like
Oh.
snow days, so everything compounded, and it was a.
Well, that's at least a justification. Anyway, just to go to show though, we got we would have regularly
cinema
have
class, and so
Tim
the
and
3
Doug
movies we
on our
watched in a
channel.
row, it was like,
Here's a nice view. Beard cam. What are you doing, Doug? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? But just going to show, our channel has always been the people with the honest people who actually get their books done are people who realize that we are also good at we're good at comics. We're good at things like that. Yesterday, Mark announced starting on the script for Common America 10th volume. Meanwhile, Ethan's story should be the third volume. Should be more far along than that. Yeah, the Cyberfrog 3 should have been done by the end of last year, to be honest, if he actually worked on his comic. CG doesn't make sense. Well, it also doesn't make comics. Whoa. I can close my eyes and reach into a dollar bin and use comic book store, and I'm 95% likely to come up with a better book than CG, or at least on par, certainly. That's the thing, is that's not going to save comics. We had said that, and we had been proven right. We said that directly to Ethan Van Sciver's face, and he essentially proved us right, as he very regularly does, constantly. Beyond his control, he doesn't have any ability to stop that or do anything about it. Very sad. It's a shame. Too bad for him, anyways. And he's not going to be able to do anything about continuing to prove us right more and more as time passes. He's hemorrhaging subscribers. The subscribers that he has now are getting desperate and starting to really dump out their wallets into his super chats, which of course get cut with YouTube. So basically, he's making money for the woke mob at YouTube. Every time you donate a super chat to anyone on YouTube, you're basically paying YouTube. You're paying the woke mob, and that's, you're doing that by choice. I've never done that. I wouldn't do that. I don't know why anyone else would. That's when they say, they're anti-woke. You're not anti-woke if you're making money on YouTube for YouTube and that kind of stuff. Even if you're exploiting the system. And I understand there are a few people who are very much justified in doing that. Like Nurkish, fucking definitely gets a free pass, because a lot of the same people, were just as interested in having him disappear, and now he's just exploiting the system for money, and YouTube's getting a lot of that money. But he doesn't do streams where he's getting super chats, really. He's just doing those daily videos. It's about exploiting the algorithm. I understand that. If you're just admitting, it's like, yeah, I'm exploiting the algorithm. It's, the people are going to be watching this, clicking on it a bunch, and then YouTube just sends me a check, whatever. Nurkish deserves that. Doug TenNapel also does that. And again, it's just admittedly exploitation of the system. I understand that. We could do that too. I understand how to, like, daily videos, like 5 to 10 minutes, for at least one ad break, or theoretically one ad break, but you could start with pre-roll ads, that kind of stuff. I just don't want to. I've never had an interest in exploiting the YouTube system of monetization and then being beholden to it and having to manage that. There's a bunch of other stuff I would rather do instead, which includes, in fact, the running the comics, doing delightful, happy, fun comics. So again, if you want to support the actual honest people, the real comic creators out there, check out this one. I'll link it below in the pinned comment. This is definitely... Wait, wrong hand. Okay. This comic, wonderful. And cover by Tim Lim of Common America too, who likes our comics specifically. He's a fan of Literally. He's a big fan. He's such a huge fan of Literally. delightful. He's a fan. I would prefer to say he's an enjoyer, a reader. That's another good way to put it. But again, if you want to support the comics by the honest people, again, I'm like, it's this way. No, it's on my left, but it's on my right here. Go check it out. Help share, help get the word out, that kind of stuff. I think they're going to do a campaign for the new Comic America soon as well. Iconic is, Tim and Mark. But if you want to support the comics that they support, support this one over here. And I'm trying to remember, it's like, what else? I wanted to I just wanted to make sure that this stuff would run. I hear the fans really going, is it really that system intensive? It's just Dark Souls. What's the big deal? I don't know. But thanks again. People showing up in the chat. Hello. CG audience has been substantially filtered for the clinically retarded, as they always have been. That was the thing about the very beginning, is that a lot of the people who left Comicsgate or are jilted out of it or don't support, basically, as they admit, they don't support Ethan. So it's like, the other YouTubers, a lot of them are still completely disingenuous people. There are CG history and its features reminds me of the history and failures of indie wrestling, copium and excesses. Indie wrestling sounds like it would be a cool idea. I can imagine that would be a fucking nightmare, though. Indie wrestling. That should work. That's the funny thing is, I mentioned this, I don't know if it's in the last stream or just a video that I recorded, but there's scratch my head. Yeah. No, it's a helmet. But there's a video that came out, I don't remember the guy's name on YouTube, but he did a video about ElfQuest. And the video is titled like Marvel and DC turned them down, so they revolutionized the comics, which they did, actually. They actually, for real, did. But, ElfQuest, huge comic from back then, but they ran into a lot of the same problems that are like with Comicsgate, where they tried to have their first print run. The guy took the money and never printed the comic. He just didn't do it. The husband of the lady who sort of wrote and drew, she was the artist primarily. She also, I think she co-wrote, but it was also her ideas. It was sort of her premise and a lot of her characters and that kind of thing. For ElfQuest, though, they got the art back. They couldn't get the money back. Because, again, just like with Ethan, when people talk about, like, how Ethan, he made all this money, though. Yeah, the money's spent. The money is gone. The money he's getting from YouTube, that's flushed down the toilet too. The money he gets from Super Chats, the money he gets from his campaigns, all of that's gone. He doesn't have it to fulfill. And I'm talking about the money he's going to get for his next campaigns too. Everyone in Comicsgate actually knows this and doesn't admit it to you. The people who know the stuff behind the scenes know this, is that Ethan Van Sciver has blown all of his money. The money that he got from his campaigns, he wasted all of it and didn't have any left to fulfill on Cyberfrog 1 and then again on Cyberfrog 2. And he can keep doing that because he knows nobody cares. The people in Comicsgate who know that's happening, they cover up for it. They all know about it and they don't do anything. In fact, they're more than happy to have that continue because they think it'll mean at least some trickle down for them. And that was the real reason that Doug TenNapel left, along with a lot of other things. We had him on stream talking about that a bunch of years ago, but I think that was on the old channel. I'm not sure. But again, we're the ones who have people on to talk about the honest stuff that's really happening. So again, if you want to know the truth, our Subscribe Star has tons of videos where we go into a depth about that. Our older videos on this channel too, though, there's more about that, and just funny, delightful things, and ways to support, ways to find the actual honest creators. So again, if you want to find the honest creators, the real quality in indie comics, then make sure you're still subscribed to us. Make sure you're continuing to listen. For everyone else, though, I said this would be a short stream. So for everyone else, should have listened to Shitty Web Comics. Wow.